Hello, and welcome back to another amazing episode of E2E, where we bring you the world's best experts. And today I'm so excited because it's going to be a funny interaction. It's going to be an amazing episode. And in today's episode, we are going to dive into something which is really important. So, if you are a business owner or if you are leading a team, you may find yourself that sometimes you may not be able to either present yourself or make a good, perfect introduction simply because you may not be able to nail down the needs, or if you are a business owner, nail down your specific avatar and put him in the right spot so then you can serve your clients in the best way. So today I'm going to have two world experts that I'm happy to call them friends, and I'm happy to know them for several years. And they are going to give us some insights on an ability, a muscle, something that you can learn and train. And guess what? You can learn this by doing it. So today we're going to talk about improvisation and provocation. So no further ado, let's welcome on stage Mr. Paul Speirs and Victoria Hogg. Glad to see you. Glad to be with you guys. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Really well, thank you.
Brilliant.
Okay. So, the first question I want to ask you, as experts of improvisation, we live in a world where we are constantly under a belief that we need to be perfect, we need to be ready, spot on. But you guys are teaching something different, which could be, well, you can go along and you can manage everything by the ability of improvising and staying in the moment, staying present in the moment without preparing, without having any schemes and everything. Obviously, you must be a master in your game, but then there is another element, correct?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Moses, is it helpful if I just quickly describe in a minute what improv is, what improvisation is? Because I think a lot of people might have an idea of what it is, but I think it's helpful just to lay it out on our terms for you. So if you think about improv being two different types, two different pillars. First one is improv to entertain, which is where you see a comedy show where it's doesn't have a script, it's made up on the spot. And that's things like Whose Line Is It Anyway, or a West End show like Ostentatious or Showstopper. And then the other type of improv is what we call applied improvisation, and that is improv to solve. And that is what Paul and I mean, we do both, but at the moment, for the purposes of your podcast, it's interesting to talk about that improv to solve, the applied improv plus, where you take the tools and techniques of improv, theatrically speaking and comedically speaking, and you apply them to whatever problem it is that you're having in order to find that solution for your individual or your group.
Okay, I mean, that's very interesting. Paul, anything else to add on?
Yeah, I want to immediately say what improv isn't. And improv is not, contrary probably to a great perception, it is not making things up as you go along. It's not winging it at all. And the reason I say that is improv is using the assets around you. And what do I mean by assets? Well, the situation that you are in, you take what's around you, one part of which would be the content, your knowledge, the stuff you know. the stuff you're an expert in. You're not making that stuff up. But the improvisation bit, using the assets around you, might be picking up the mood of the room. It might be responding to particular questions. It might be responding to difficult individuals in the room. And so these, I call them assets, but they are the things that are shaping in the moment how you're going to respond, how you're going to present yourself. So you are definitely not making things up, but you are going with the flow, you're going with the mood, you're reading the room. Does that all make sense? Because we want to be absolutely clear that improv is not making things up. It's a skill, as you say. It's a muscle that can be learned.
Yeah, and why is this skill so important for entrepreneurs in this world, which is highly competitive, and it's a world of business where uh, one word not said may lead you to missing a sale, or one word said more than necessary will lead you to probably make your client think about it and bounce you back and refuse to close the deal. So why is it important right now to adapt and bring in these skills in the day-to-day business?
I think that it's important because of the incredible changes that are happening in the world of business, in the world of technology, just constantly across the board. It's phenomenal the amount of people that are growing up in the world right now that will have a job that doesn't even exist yet. And the landscape is moving so fast, it's important to be adaptable. LinkedIn Learning said that adaptability was their absolute number one watchword of the year, and that's essentially what Paul and I are all about. We're about adaptability. We consider ourselves to be agility coaches, and as Paul said, it's about working that muscle. We consider improv to be brain gym.
Brain gym, I like that.
Yeah, there's also if we're going to be agile, if we have to adapt to the world, that's change, and change is difficult for a lot of people because it's uncomfortable. When you have to do things a bit differently, you have to change the way you do business, the way you present yourself, the way you are on social media. These changes are quite difficult and make you uncomfortable. And one of the things that improv does really well is it releases your inhibitions. It releases that inner critic telling you not to do uncomfortable things, because improvisation kind of gets you out of your head and to be more natural and to get into flow, to go with the flow, and losing your inhibitions. Really, another way to say that is you're not fearful of being judged. And too often, especially in business, people hold back on themselves because they're scared of being judged. Judgment's not always good, and improv allows you to overcome that a little bit so that you can express more of yourself and be more adaptable and embrace change.
Yeah, I mean, quite a few improvisers talk about celebrating failure. Paul and I don't agree with that. Who wants to fail? Nobody wants to fail. It's not useful, but it's inevitable. And in order to be able to challenge yourself appropriately, to be able to push forward in business, to fulfill your purpose and really just follow your passion, you do have to take risks. And taking risks means being creatively adaptable, and that will lead at some point or another, to a greater or smaller extent, to failure. And so we always talk about being comfortable with failure, or if you prefer, having better error recovery.
I like that. Having better error recovery and being comfortable with failure. That's really powerful. And at the same time, you are talking about individual, but how can we have a perspective of how improv can be effective in an organization?
Well, let's think about what holds people back in organizations. Let's pick an easy one. Think of hierarchy within organizations.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the boss at the top, you've got the junior at the bottom, In old-fashioned organizations, the boss knows best, and the junior's too scared or too timid or too shy or doesn't think their ideas are good enough to make suggestions on contribute in meetings and project workflows and so on. That's hierarchy. If we could level this up a little bit when you're in the room, then you get the timid junior, less experienced people putting forward probably good ideas, and the hierarchy at the top level open to accepting some of those ideas for a broader discussion rather than closing them down because they know best. Now, I've been very generalistic there, but these hierarchies exist everywhere, and improvisation is kind of like it kills status, right? It levels up because improvisation promotes creativity and it allows for ideas to be explored. And when there's no great idea on earth that didn't come from a small idea. And if we reject all the small ideas straight up, then we have no great ideas. So to allow the small idea, to allow that to have room to breathe, and to allow the contributor, the timid people, the shy people, the people who don't want to be judged, to put those on the table safely, knowing that they won't be judged or critiqued and it won't be held against them, it is actually a good thing. And if you can create that kind of culture within the workplace, then the creativity and productivity and also the personal contribution to the business, all of those things change for the good.
And what you're saying is really powerful. Then I'll give you the word, Vicky, because now I've got another thought that I will ask you later on. So, Victoria, go ahead with your part of contribution.
Well, I was just going to pull into the room the expression "yes and." Yes, and so we might want Paul back for this moment if we wanted to run something. But yes, and is essentially accepting an idea and then building on it, not blocking it and not going off on something completely different. It is taking what has been offered to you and allowing yourself to just add an extra brick to that particular edifice so that we're building something together. And I think it's very interesting how often people are in a no saying mindset or in a yes but saying mindset. And Paul and I find that yes but is, although really prevalent in loads of organizations, and it's what keeps you safe in your mind. You can say, yes, I can see what you're talking about, but, and here listing all the problems that you might see with that. That's very helpful. It's very clever, but it might not be particularly useful in the moment when you're trying to build this creative landscape. Look, I'm sure you're aware of that expression, divergent thinking, Moses, but divergent thinking is where you're you've given yourself space as a group to put all the ideas on the table. Yes, and what happens if, what's next? Where are we going with this? Tell me more, color that idea. And then once you've got all those ideas, of course, we get to the point where you have that convergent thinking. You narrow it down, you start focusing, because you have to arrive at an end point. We can't be just making stuff up and traveling in too imaginative a direction for too long, because decisions have to be made. But it's really important to give ourselves the space to have that in the first place, I feel.
That's brilliant. And both of you spoke about creativity. Now, I want to provoke you with something. So, we live in a world where everything is going to the direction of AI. Everybody's talking about AI, automation, and all that stuff. Okay. We have had in our podcast, if you didn't watch it, go and watch the other previous episodes or listen to them, where we had experts in AI. Brilliant. Great. But I love what you talked about creativity, because I'm a creative by myself. As a musician and as a singer, I love to create. I love to bring out my gifts like that. So how can we find the balance with the creativity you guys are talking about and all the speed the world is going through in all organization pushing so much forward AI? Where is the balance and how can we make it work together?
Can I begin with a word?
Yes.
Passion.
Okay.
Right? We all know what passion is. If you can be, people are passionate about anything and everything. And when you show passion, your creative juices are just there. You can talk to people about your passion forever, right? Because you just got knowledge on it, you've got passion. And when you've got passion, you become more creative. Now, if you're thinking about AI, can I get AI to do stuff for me? It won't feel genuine or the best you if you haven't fed AI with the right instructions coming from a passionate perspective. And also, when you get something back from AI, maybe it's a piece of copy, or maybe it's an image you're trying to create. Maybe it's some kind of workflow. If that's not singing back to you the passion that you gave it, then you as a human are able to adjust that and make it right. But without passion, creativity is very difficult. So you have to have passion. You have to find passion.
So your element is passion that then can lead to create, and then you could train the machine with that passion and the creativity that you've done, and then it could give you an excellent outcome of work, of production. Is that correct? Did I get it right?
Yeah. And if I can, before you come in, if I could just sort of add to that a little bit. What you're talking about there, the way you just described it, is a relationship between you and the AI that you train. So in this very short exchange, the AI could almost be your client, because you're helping it, and then it's giving you something back. Maybe you're clients to each other. But this is a relationship that you're building up through passion, and you're creating an alignment. And if you're using AI in a way that it's learning about you and you're learning about it, then this alignment between the two comes closer, doesn't it? You get a synergy. And it's the same in business when you're talking about the passion that you have as a business owner, the passion of what you're serving, your offer, your unique thing. If that passion aligns with a client who needs that help, and they can passionately see how that can help them, then you've created a synergy that is super valuable in a business to business relationship.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Victoria?
Well, AI is such an interesting situation, right? We could talk for hours about it, days. I think that it's great to remember that what we do as improvisation experts is that we give people the opportunity to learn by doing. We said this at the very beginning, but this is what we call kinesthetic learning. It's about putting things in your body and therefore being able to output them in a way that is authentic, that is productive, and is skilled. It's highly skilled work that we offer. I think that with AI, it's honestly about asking the right questions, exactly as Paul said, creating that relationship. And there's so many different forms of AI. I feel like it's of interest to break down exactly what type of AI we're talking about here, in order to, because we're AI as well. We're applied improvisation. And yet I guess that you're talking about the technological AI. Am I correct?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So you guys have broken down the word AI. Okay. Applied improvisation. I love that. I love that.
It's almost like we knew that already.
Yeah. So, why you guys? I mean, why are you the expert of improvisation? What makes you be the expert of improvisation?
Oh, do you know what? I think this sounds like. Can we give you a bit of a backstory?
Yes,
Let's
please.
give a backstory. Yeah. Okay. So I'm a corporate professional for more than 30 years. I've been working in the corporate world, and to work in the corporate world, you've got to be serious, right? Because it's business. Got to do stuff seriously. But really, my natural person is to be a bit of a comedian, a bit of a clown, if you like. I like to play and have fun, and that and the corporate world don't always align. So I tell you what I did about 3 years ago. Actually, it was very close. 3 years ago, I was given a birthday present by my wife to go on a comedy course to make me more funny. That's how my wife saw it. So I did. So I turned up to this comedy course thinking, oh my word, I'm going to be with all of these really funny people. How do I feel about that? I'm becoming vulnerable, right? Because comedy is quite a vulnerable space to be in. So I go to this comedy course in Guildford, and the very first question the teacher asked, she asked the group, but individually, why are you here? And to me, this question, when I look back, was a huge question, because I wasn't there just to learn about comedy. I was there to try and turn comedy into an asset. How can I use comedy and humor in the workplace? Because comedy can work for you, right? Because it's an icebreaker and you can get people to like you if you're funny. But comedy can also work against you as well, because, he's a funny guy, but, we can't take him seriously. So you start to hit a ceiling of acceptance within the corporate world. So I wanted to learn how to use humor in a serious way. Cut a long story short, through the course, I set up a comedy stand-up group. And then through that, I started doing improvisation. And then I had this brainwave, this idea that improvisation teaches you so much about yourself and how you can apply it in your own personal life and work life. I thought this needs to be a business. We need to share these skills to the world. So I phoned up an old friend and said, hey, why don't we set up a business? And thank the powers above, she said, yes, let's do this. And that brings me nice and neatly onto my very first comedy coach, who happens to be Vic.
It's me. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for that amazing.
I'm a Luke Skywalker to Vic's Yoda.
No, that's not true. I'm always learning from you. That's the truth of it. But what's so funny is that Paul is there talking about how his origin story is, wanting more fun in his corporate life and just, being ready to seize that fun because he is such a fun person. I was the opposite. I was really serious. I was very good at saying no. I was the smart ass who always saw all the problems. I was the person who was always doing that convergent, what's the problem here? And so, until my husband gave me a comedy course to try and make me more funny. And the fact of learning yes and completely changed my life. That was a decade and a half ago, pretty much. And I immediately ended up doing applied theatre as a master's degree at Goldsmiths College. I took multiple improv comedy classes, sketch writing classes, stand-up classes. I ended up being a teacher of all those things as well. So becoming a proper comedy expert who was delivering in the room, and melding both those things, the comedy aspects and the applied improvisation and applied theatre, applied creative arts aspect, to see where I could take this new passion and purpose. And so the absolute joy when Paul said to me, hey, I feel like this could work in a business setting. And I said, yes, I've been doing that for over a decade. I think you're right. Let's talk. And it's just been a beautiful complementary set of skills. His incredible business acumen and understanding of what it is to work in corporate, and with my academic and stage training. I just feel like it's a really nice melding of all those different types of skills.
Okay. Now, if we were to take away one single bit of improv advice, what would that be?
I'll tell you what mine is. And this you can action straight away. Vic touched on it earlier on.
Oh yeah, let's do this. Let's be together in the room.
Yeah. So this was a yes and, but actually the thing to take away is and it's about self-awareness, right? Is the yes but. How to spot the yes but in the room. Now, we all know yes butters. We might even be them ourselves. Now, I wouldn't advise calling out anybody who's yes butting in meetings, because you might create a conflict you don't need. But what you can do is just observe how many times a yes but phenomenon happens in a meeting or in a situation. And you'll be amazed how often creativity is just crushed by these yes buts in the room, including from yourself. So this is the way to play the game, is when you're in a meeting, in a professional environment, or with colleagues, catch yourself with a yes but coming out of your mouth, and just hold your thoughts and your words for a moment and reframe it. Because the moment you reframe it towards a yes and, you open doors to creativity and contributing thinking from the group, rather than closing those doors with a sort of negative yes but.
And let me
So
just
that's
say
my
one thing.
takeaway. Go and do a yes but.
This
Do
is
a
very
survey.
powerful. This is very powerful. And for those of you who are watching us right now on E2E, on our podcast channel, whether you're viewing us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify, Amazon, wherever you are listening the audio, please click on the button for more notifications. Follow the E2E podcast and share it. Share it out there with your friends, with your audience, with your colleagues. Because my biggest takeaway from this that Paul has just said is, catch yourself in a setting of meeting and catch yourself when you are saying yes, but. And this is very powerful for me, because I've always been in a leadership position. Any company I worked with, and even as a coach, I'm normally the mentor, the guy to go to. So naturally, I may have that incline to do yes, but, and try to correct. But now you're making me realize another perspective, that may be cutting off the creativity, the idea, the suggestions of the other person. And I remember right now, many years ago, 15 years ago, when I was leading a board meeting, okay, it was all about yes, but to all the people of the team. I just had a flash when you were talking. Oh shit, I did that mistake. I was always saying yes, but yes, that's good, but the timing is not wrong. Yes, that's good, but we need to do that. Yes, that's good, but. So as a leader, I will always used to do that. So thank you for this mental adjustment that you have just done right now. Really appreciate it. Victoria?
Easy to do. Easy to do.
Yes. Victoria, what's your advice?
Do you know, I think that this is very much complementary to the whole yes and ethos, and that is listening, deep listening, active listening, listening out not for the problems, to which one would say no or yes but listening for what you can work with, what's of interest to you, what feels shiny. And it's really hard to listen really deeply. I feel like I want us to run something right now. Paul, should we just take 30 seconds to do a one word at a time story?
Yes, please. So are we gonna do a practical demonstration of
We are. We're
improvisation?
going to do it.
Yeah,
We're
why
going to
not?
do it. Yeah, why not? Why not? So rather
All right.
than so Moses, you decide. Do you want to do a one word at a time story, or do you want to do a yes and party? What do you feel
I
like?
leave you guys to decide what's the best. What could be more helpful for those who are watching us and listening to us?
I think we're going to try a one word at a time story to see about accepting, building on ideas, yes anding the next person, and really actively listening. So it's so simple. We're just going to start with once upon a time. You get to say one word. We'll always go in the same order. I'll start, then it's Paul, then it's Moses, then it's me again. And we're going to see if we can build up a story. And the only thing to remember is that we're trying to just keep this plate spinning in the air so that it's satisfying to everybody, not so that we can have the clever word or to hold on to an idea that we had a few words before. So should we see how that goes? We're going to start with once upon a time, and we'll see what happens. We'll see who we meet. Okay, so let's go. Once
upon
a time,
time,
a
boy
called
Tom
for
himself
bought
a
colourful
cushion
soft
and
cuddly.
then
he
Lost
it
crying
all
day
luckily
another
cushion
was
found
in
the
bucket. I think we'll call scene there, shall we?
we'll call scene there.
Yeah.
It feels
Tom bought a cushion, he lost it and found another one in a bucket.
Do you know what a beautiful moment to never have done this, the three of us, before. Ever. We weren't warmed up to it. That was the very first practice. We had no idea what was going to happen.
Absolutely.
And we created sense out of thin air.
Yeah. And you know what? I have just realized that my brain was trying to create something complicated which could make sense, but then automatically myself was coming out with the easiest word, it, in, for, instead of trying to build that construct which is complicated and heavy. It was just coming as a flow.
This feeds right into where we started at the top of the podcast. We were talking about small ideas, right? This story doesn't work if you don't have the words a, the, of, if. It doesn't work. You can't make a sentence without those words, and you need these small contributions to set up the bigger picture. And this game and your own self-awareness that you just experienced, it exposes it right there.
You're a real hero, Moses. We applaud you for your your generosity in doing those little words that are just the glue that holds the whole sentence together. Yeah. And for Paul and I, you know, our anchor at Improv Inc. is clarity, simplicity, visibility. We just want people's lives and businesses and propositions and through routes to ideal clients just to be simpler and clearer.
Yeah, we often say in improv, if it's your turn next, do the most simple and obvious thing, and from that great things happen. It's the same in business. You don't have to be complicated.
Absolutely. I loved it. Simple, practical exercise. That's brilliant. So guys, where can our audience find you?
Well, you can find us on our website. So that's www.improvinc.co.uk. And we also run something called the Improv Breakfast every single week, every Tuesday, 9:30 in the morning UK time.
And can they find the info in the website?
Yes, okay. You can. Maybe we'll just share the link in a moment. So the Improv Breakfast, we tackle a new topic each week. It's a 25-minute drop-in session, and we usually run an activity similar to what we did just now that digs deep into the activity of the week. And that activity is normally shaped around the previous week's newsletter, the Improv Inc. So people can also subscribe to the Improv Inc. So that's a breakfast every Tuesday. We also run something called the Improv Connection, which is a series of 1-hour webinars that go deeper into how we're using applied improvisation to serve our clients in the corporate sector, in the small business world. So that's the Improv Connection. where you can learn more about how we apply these things or how these things can be applied in your business.
Okay, brilliant. So you can find all the details of the Improv Breakfast, Improv Connection on the main website of improv.inc.co.uk. Now, I know you guys have prepared a gift for everybody. Would you like to tell more about this? And guys, you can find the gift on the descriptions, both on our YouTube episode and also on all the other platforms. Um, uh, as we spoke earlier, this gift is going to be a guide step by step on how to improvise. Did I get it right, guys?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We thought it would be helpful to people to give them some kind of a beginner's guide, certainly to what improv is, quite possibly about, what niching and ideal prospect work, how that can be furthered with improvisation. So we are delighted to be able to offer a PDF, which will be on our website as well. And we will be able to put a link below for that.
Wonderful. Thank you. And before we go, I always ask this question to all my guests. Now, I want you to imagine you, Paul, Victoria, as you are right now. But then I want you to look at your left and I want you to see the Paul and Victoria of 8 years old. And then on your right, the Paul and Victoria of 80 years old. Now, your present moment of who you are, I want you to leave one word of advice, wisdom, or any thought that you have to the small girl of you, the small boy of you, and the 8-year-old of you. So you're going to have a quick improvisation interaction with the 8-year-old and the 80-year-old. So, Vic, you can go first.
This is really moving and intense. I could feel my heart rate going up, Moses. That's really intense. Brilliant. Okay, so to my 8-year-old self, I would like to say, don't worry about being right. Perfection is not your goal. Whatever you've been told, let go of that and just be, enjoy, find your passion. Things will work out. And to my 80-year-old self, I'm going to say, well done. It all felt like incredibly hard work, but you're going to get there in the end, and just keep moving. Just keep moving through whatever's happening.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, Paul, your turn.
I'm going to do it like this. Hello, 8-year-old self. Advice for you. Keep taking small steps. No matter what steps they are, keep taking them, because each step that you take will lead to something else. When you look back at the journey you've taken up to now, you won't believe how far you've traveled through those small steps and those small actions, doing things. And to my 80-year-old self, well done for getting to 80 for a start. That's great. And you're probably 15 years into your retirement. How brilliant is that? And it's all thanks to me, the current self, that set you up. So 80-year-old self, enjoy these the years ahead of you, knowing what you did 15, 20, 25 years ago. Can't wait to meet you, but not too soon,
Brilliant, brilliant,
Oh my gosh.
brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. It was an intense, beautiful, insightful episode. For those of you who are in companies and corporates and you want to bring in this new level of awareness and serving your clients, get in touch with Victoria and Paul. They are definitely the people that can help you. These are experts that can allow you to improvise, to provoke your clients to think. And as they think, they will want to be served by you because they will like what you are doing, because you'll be in the moment, present there, serving them on the highest level. And thank you so much, Paul and Victoria. And this was E2E, Expert to Experts, where we bring you the best world's experts to help you, to serve you, and to help you go on the other side. Thank you so much for watching. Click on the button, share this, and see you next time. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.